Giants fans, thank you for watching the Giants Lines channel. Today I'm going to start a new video series where I briefly preview each position group for the New York Football Giants. And today I'm going to start out with the most important position, the quarterbacks. And I do think the quarterback depth can play a really big factor on who does well in 2020. I also acknowledge that there's a real possibility there might not be a football season this year. But if there is, I think it's going to be such a strange season with guys missing time. And depth at quarterback can play a big factor in who ends up going to the playoffs. And I hope Daniel Jones, if there is a season, does not miss any time because I think he can have a really good year. I think the supporting cast for the New York Football Giants will be much better than it was last year for Daniel Jones. Remember, last year he did not play one game with Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, Golden Tate, Ingram, and Barkley all healthy at the same time. So I think last year he was playing a lot with backup wide receivers. The offensive line was very bad last year. Nate Solder will not be the left tackle. He opted out of the season. And Andrew Thomas, I think, can be a major upgrade at left tackle. PFF just came out with their rankings of offensive tackles, and he's actually already in the top 25 as a rookie. So I think he's going to have a good year as a rookie on the left side. I think on the right side, it's either going to be Cam Fleming or Nick Gates. But regardless, I think Daniel Jones is going to be a lot better. Last year, he had 24 touchdowns. He was the most accurate passer on yards that have 20-plus air under them, and he was good as a rookie. I thought he played really well despite his fumbling, and I know that's a major issue. The Giants were last in the NFL last year in turnover differential, and Daniel Jones fumbling played a huge factor in that, but he definitely added 9 pounds of muscle. He looks a lot better than he did last year in terms of his body, in terms of his muscle tone, so I do think that's going to play an important factor in how well he plays and how he's able to protect the football, because last year he fumbled way too much. But I think this year, with better receivers that are actually healthy, with a much better offensive line, Daniel Jones could improve upon his numbers, where last year he had 24 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. So I'm actually expecting around 32 touchdowns this year and around 4,000 yards if he plays a full 16-game season. So I think Daniel Jones is somebody you guys should be targeting in your fantasy football drafts. Second string. So it's not set in stone who the backup quarterback's going to be, but I think Colt McCoy has a major advantage in that regard because McCoy was given a decent-sized contract for a backup quarterback. He has a lot more experience than the other quarterbacks. Remember, he was drafted by the Cleveland Browns, and he was put in a really bad situation. He was still able to win some football games for the Browns, even though he did not have a good team around him. And he was a backup for a long time for the Redskins. So he has experience in the NFC East, which I think is important. And also, he won a really big football game for the Redskins against the Dallas Cowboys, against Jason Garrett's Cowboys. So I think that's something Jason Garrett has in mind. If Colt McCoy is forced to play, and we hope that's not the case, but if he is forced to play, I think he's good enough to win some games. And remember, he was a Heisman Trophy runner-up at Texas, so he's a very accomplished quarterback. He has a lot of experience. He's known for being very smart as well. He actually wants to be a head coach, just like Jason Garrett was a head coach after being a backup in the NFL for many years. McCoy wants to have a similar path, and I think having that kind of experience in the quarterback room can help Daniel Jones. Another player that has a lot of experience and is known for being a good mentor, that is another quarterback still on the roster. He was just taken off the non-football injury list. His name is Alex Tanney. And a lot of people rave about Alex Tanney's mentorship and leadership ability, but I don't think that's the biggest reason why he will or will not make the team. Joe Judge, during his introductory press conference, did say that he only wants players on the team, not just quarterbacks, that can actually play. And the coaches should coach, players should play. And I do not think that Alex Tanney is going to make the team this year, even though he is somebody that really gets along with Daniel Jones and helps him in ways off the field. But I don't think he's as good as Cooper Rush, who's a young quarterback, has more potential, and he has experience in Jason Garrett's system. So I think Cooper Rush is going to be the third string quarterback. I'm not sure if they're going to end up carrying 3 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster. I could see Rush possibly being on the practice squad. But it is really valuable, especially in a year like this year, to have a guy that's familiar with the system, that knows Jason Garrett's offense in and out, that's a really smart quarterback. So Cooper Rush was a quarterback that went to Central Michigan, and he is known to be very smart. He was a good college player. He does not have much experience in the NFL. But I want to read to you what it says in his draft profile for his strengths. In week 2, this was back when he played for Central Michigan, Rush and the Chippewas went on the road to take on the Oklahoma State Cowboys. This would be their biggest test of the year. Rush completed 72% of his passes for 368 yards, threw for 4 scores against a single interception, and a 30-27 victory. So Rush, playing for small school Central Michigan, was able to go on the road and beat a very good football team in the Big 12. So the kid's got brains. He graduated magna cum laude with a 3.86 GPA. Brains usually equate to composure in the pocket, knowing when to sit tight and relax and not be a hero. So he definitely has this in his arsenal. Some people question his arm strength, but he did have 6 games straight with at least a 40-yard completion. And I do think Cooper Rush will be on the football team instead of Alex Tanney. There's no way we're going to carry 4 quarterbacks. But it is important this year to have depth at quarterback. And I think our depth is better than it's been in a long time. Think about the last few backup quarterbacks we've had on the New York Giants, like Davis Webb, Ryan Nassib, Geno Smith. Luckily, Eli Manning never got hurt, so we never had to worry about who our backup quarterback was. But I do think McCoy is the best backup quarterback we've had probably since David Carr back on the 2011 Super Bowl team, who was a very solid backup, and he was a former number 1 overall pick. So the quarterback room, I do feel good about our quarterbacks because I do feel good about Daniel Jones. I do think he's going to have a very good year. He's very accurate, which is the most important thing you want to see in your franchise quarterback. And Brett Coleman made a really interesting video recently about Daniel Jones, kind of analyzing his film, and he came to the conclusion that Jones is not very aware of the pressure, and he's not very good at seeing the pressure, and he's also not that good at deep ball placement according to his analysis. But I sort of disagree. I think that Daniel Jones had such a bad offensive line last year, and that's the major reason why he struggled with the fumbles. He definitely needs to improve upon his ball security, but I do think that's more correctable than other things like accuracy. So I do think Daniel Jones is going to have a really good year. I do think his deep ball placement is better than a lot of people think. If you look at all the analytics, he was actually the most accurate deep ball passer in the NFL. But I think he's just going to continue to get better. He's such a hard worker. He definitely bulked up in this offseason, and it's noticeable. So I think that's going to make him improve in regards to ball security. So I'm feeling good about the quarterbacks. I'm just hopeful we do have a football season, because if they're just like in baseball, if there's some players that test positive for COVID, you can maybe just reschedule and have a doubleheader in the future. But if that happens in the NFL, I don't know what they would do. So I'm not confident there'll be a full 16-game schedule, but I do think they're going to try, and hopefully everyone can stay responsible and not catch the virus. I know sometimes it's out of your hands, but Joey Bosa actually came out with a really good quote recently. He said the most responsible teams are going to be the best teams this year. So the NFL doesn't have a bubble like the NBA. Guys are going to have to do their best to stay healthy so that they can play on Sundays. So that's my positional preview for the quarterbacks. I want to thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna do the running backs next, and tomorrow, I know there's a doubleheader for the Yankees. The game was postponed tonight, so tomorrow I am going to have like a play-by-play commentary where I announce the Yankee game on YouTube. So definitely come out and watch that. Thank you for supporting my channel, and please subscribe. Please give me a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you.